this desolate area. It's in the middle of the woods.
Cell phone records and the cameras, the biggest thing that you got from both of those was to fill in a timeline.
How does someone just disappear off the face of the earth? How do they just vanish into thin air?
It was supposed to be a weekend of fun, the kind of trip every teenager dreams about. In April 2009, 17-year-old Brittanee Drexel slipped away from her home in New York to join friends in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. The ocean breeze, the neon lights, the crowded boardwalk, it should have been nothing but laughter and late-night talks. But on the night of April 25th, Brittanee walked out of a hotel and vanished. For years, her face stared back from missing posters, her name whispered in online forums, and her case haunted every investigator who touched it. 13 long years later, the truth finally emerged, and it was far darker than anyone imagined. You're watching More Crime, and in the next few minutes, we'll take you deep into the twists, lies, and decades-long mystery behind Brittanee Drexel's murder. Brittanee Marie Drexel was born on October 7, 1991, in Rochester, New York. She was a bright, energetic teenager with a smile that lit up every room she entered. Friends described her as outgoing and fiercely independent, the type of person who made plans and chased them without hesitation. She loved soccer, fashion, and photography, and was known for her strong sense of style. But Brittanee's life at home wasn't always easy. Her parents had divorced when she was young, and though she maintained close ties with both, she sometimes felt caught between worlds. By early 2009, she was balancing school, her social life, and the ups and downs of being a teenager, all while secretly longing for more freedom. That desire for independence would lead to a decision in April 2009 that changed everything. In April 2009, spring break was in full swing, and Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, was the go-to destination for teenagers and young adults looking for sun, parties, and freedom. Brittanee wanted to be part of it. Her mother, Dawn Drexel, was cautious. She didn't approve of the trip and believed it wasn't safe. But Brittanee didn't take no for an answer. Without telling her mother, she accepted an invitation from friends and left Rochester for Myrtle Beach. She told Dawn she was staying with a friend locally for the weekend, hiding her true location. For a few days, Brittanee seemed to be enjoying herself, the beach, the boardwalk, the nightlife. But there were also signs of tension within the group she was with. On April 25, 2009, as the sun set over Myrtle Beach, Brittanee left her hotel, and would never be seen alive again. It was the night of April 25, 2009. Surveillance cameras caught Brittanee leaving the Blue Water Resort around 8:15 p.m., walking alone down the busy strip of Ocean Boulevard. She had just texted her boyfriend back in Rochester, telling him she was heading to see another friend staying at a nearby hotel. The boardwalk was alive with tourists, music spilling from bars, neon lights bouncing off the water, but Brittanee's pace was steady, almost hurried. Her phone records later revealed a flurry of texts, some short and urgent. By 9 p.m., her phone suddenly went silent. No calls. No messages. It was as if she had vanished into thin air. Her friends assumed she'd gone back to her hotel. But when she never returned, panic began to set in. Within hours, her family would be facing the nightmare every parent dreads. By early morning on April 26, Brittanee's absence could no longer be brushed aside. Her friends, now terrified, called her cell over and over, no answer. They finally contacted her mother, Dawn Drexel, back in New York. Dawn's stomach dropped. She knew her daughter well enough to understand, Brittanee would never just vanish. She immediately called Myrtle Beach police, urging them to act quickly. Within hours, search teams were scouring the area. Flyers with Brittanee's smiling face appeared on lampposts, hotel doors, and store windows. Helicopters swept the coastline. Officers knocked on doors, questioned witnesses, and pulled hours of surveillance footage. The resort area, once bustling with tourists, suddenly felt tense and on edge. Everyone seemed to be looking over their shoulder. But despite the urgency, there was no trace of Brittanee, not a single confirmed sighting after she left the resort that night. At first, investigators clung to the hope that Brittanee had simply run off with friends. But that theory crumbled fast. Her belongings, clothes, phone charger, makeup, were still in her hotel room. And her phone? It had stopped pinging near the Georgetown County line, about 60 miles south of Myrtle Beach, around 9 p.m. the night she vanished. Detectives reviewed surveillance footage from the area. One camera caught her walking away from the Blue Water Resort, heading toward another hotel where friends were staying. After that, she simply disappeared from the cameras. Rumors swirled, maybe she'd met someone online, maybe she was abducted. Each lead sent detectives racing, but every trail went cold. The lack of physical evidence was maddening. No witnesses stepped forward with a clear sighting, and without that, the investigation seemed to be slipping into a maze of unanswered questions. As days turned into weeks, Brittanee's disappearance drew national attention. The FBI joined local law enforcement, bringing advanced technology and specialized teams. Search parties scoured dense marshes, rural backroads, and coastal waterways in Georgetown County. Investigators began digging into her online life. They discovered she had been messaging several people during her trip, some from her hometown, others she met in Myrtle Beach. One particular individual, a registered sex offender living near where her phone last pinged, caught their attention. Despite intense questioning, nothing concrete tied him to her disappearance. The lack of evidence frustrated agents, but they refused to stop. Posters with Brittanee's face were plastered everywhere, and her case was featured on national television. Behind the scenes, detectives were quietly compiling a list of persons of interest, determined that no matter how long it took, they would find out what happened to her. Months passed, then years, and still no trace of Brittanee Drexel. For her family, every day felt like an eternity. Her mother, Dawn, refused to let her daughter's name fade from public memory. She organized vigils, spoke to the press, and begged anyone with information to come forward. Leads trickled in over time, but most turned into dead ends. Some claimed to have seen Brittanee alive in other states, but none of these sightings could be verified. In 2016, a chilling development shook the case. An inmate claimed Brittanee had been abducted, held against her will in a house, and killed, her body dumped in an alligator-infested swamp. Law enforcement took the tip seriously, launching extensive searches of the area. Still, nothing surfaced. The years dragged on, and hope seemed to dim, until, over a decade later, a shocking break in the case finally arrived. In May 2022, the mystery that had haunted Myrtle Beach for over 13 years finally cracked. Authorities announced the arrest of 62-year-old Raymond Moody, a convicted sex offender with a violent past. The news sent shockwaves through the community, and through Brittanee's family. Investigators revealed that Moody had confessed to abducting Brittanee on the very night she vanished. He claimed he took her to a remote location in Georgetown County, assaulted her, and killed her within hours of her disappearance. Even more devastating was the revelation that Moody had buried her in a shallow grave and kept his secret all these years, living just miles away from where the searches had taken place. After weeks of negotiations, Moody led authorities to the exact location of Brittanee's remains. For her family, it was the moment they had dreaded, and yet, it finally brought them the truth. In October 2022, Raymond Moody stood before a South Carolina courtroom, facing the charges that had been years in the making: murder, kidnapping, and criminal sexual conduct. He didn't fight the accusations. Instead, Moody entered a guilty plea, sparing Brittanee's family the agony of a long, drawn-out trial. Judge Art Farrell Cothran Jr. listened as prosecutors described the horrific details of Brittanee's final hours. Family members delivered emotional statements, speaking through tears about the pain of losing their daughter and the years of torment not knowing her fate. The sentence was swift and absolute: life in prison without the possibility of parole. There would be no second chance, no freedom for the man who stole Brittanee's life. For Brittanee's family, justice had finally been served. The truth was now part of the public record, and Brittanee's story could be told without question. Brittanee Drexel's story is one of stolen youth, shattered dreams, and a family's relentless pursuit of truth. For over a decade, her parents and loved ones lived in a nightmare, searching, hoping, and fearing the worst. When the truth finally surfaced, it was both devastating and liberating. The monster responsible was behind bars forever, but no sentence could bring Brittanee back. Her case reminds us that every missing person's story matters. Behind every headline is a family desperate for answers, a community holding its breath, and a life worth fighting for. Brittanee's legacy now lives on, not just in the memories of those who knew her, but in the awareness her case brings to the dangers that can lurk in plain sight. If Brittanee's story moved you, share it. Talk about it. Keep her memory alive. And remember, justice isn't just about the courtroom, it's about making sure these tragedies never happen again. This is More Crime, and we upload new true crime stories every third day. Subscribe, hit the bell icon, and join us in keeping these stories, and the lessons they carry, alive.